So I have a hard drive array that overheats in the closet. So I want to build a fan system that cools these things. I have two sets of hard drives. I have four of these. One I'm pseudo choked out because I was just ripped the case off because I was so upset at the design philosophy here, and I'll talk about that in a sec. And two, I have, well, four of these Western Digitals. They're both consumer hard drives. They're not meant to be used in a server environment. So they unwrap them in a plastic case, or like a plastic envelope. It's fairly thick and obviously no heat comes out. It has circuitry inside that once the hard drives are a certain temperature, it will automatically shut off. So just to really dial it home that this is not meant to be used outside of how they want them to be used, as in for consumers. You know, occasionally dragging and dropping one photo at a time every, few years or so. It's just really, really silly. Okay, so the design here that really upsets me and why I destroyed one of the hard drives. It's because this is about 1 millimeter thick. So that gives, and the rubber feet tells you how it's supposed to be placed or seated like this. So you have about 1 millimeter gap between this and the floor or the hard surface. Now, assuming you're not putting them on any surface that's like a carpet or low pile carpet or just a completely hard surface, and the air is supposed to, or the cold air is supposed to go underneath this, and instead of popping out at the top, because heat rises, it comes out at the side. Which doesn't make much sense to me. At least they had the common courtesy to angle the triangles this way. But still, it's just really, really poor design choice. Now with Western Digital, you can see that this is much better, where you get thicker feet. It's twice as thick, and there's a direct channel for the air to flow, so it doesn't have to do any sort of zigzag process. So this is the hard drive here that I just ripped out of one of the Seagate containers, which is even more poorly designed than this one. It's really, really insane. Now let's talk about the failures and or design iterations that I did here. For the Western Digital hard drives. So the first one, in order to build a system, I have this hard drive stacked across, and then I printed a piece of plastic that would sit on top. I didn't have any idea about bridging and tolerances and such, so instead of being a very gradual slope, it's basically flat. So this is my first iteration for design. It's junk. So V1 sucked. V2, I was a little bit smarter about it. Or rather, this is not V2. Where is V2? Not sure, whatever. Okay, so V2, a bit smarter about it, or let's call this V2, V3. And I made sure that the hard drives don't sit flush, so it can sit there. And I have a little bit of a groove for the fan to go through. Now the problem with this, or to sit on, but the problem is this is not thick enough, so the fan slips around, or slides around rather, so that's junk. Now V3, I made a little pocket for the fan to sit on, but the problem with this is that I didn't realize that, single layer thickness, single layer join, it's not very strong. So as soon as I put the fan in, it popped right off. Now V4 or V5, I made it thicker. So 2 layers thick here, so it has 2 layers to hold it. And this is getting pretty good. This will sit on the hard drives themselves, so I got a little line for that. The only issue is that because the hard drives in my closet aren't perfectly vertical, they're like this. I didn't like this. It kind of just slid off or popped off the top. So the final version, I lost count now, I made this thicker. And this is where we're at. So not pretty, but functional. How this works is that this will sit on top of the hard drives, exhaust air out.